The number one leadership attribute that I think has to be present in someone is integrity and honesty. Number one. Number two, servant leadership. I really have seen a very big difference in successful organizations. Really depends on the level of servant leadership that the chief executive or a chief executive within an organization has.
The attributes and characteristics of a successful leader that I've seen in my work experience has been that they listen. They listen to their business partners, they listen to their direct reports, and they listen to the employees that are important to the key spots of the business. I think that listening is the biggest thing. The second thing I would say would be communicating the message. A lot of times failure to communicate change and messages from the top levels down to the lowest levels fail to get the buy-in of the associates in the company and leave them confused, and that often leads to attrition and unsatisfactory surveys that associates might do for the company in regards to how engaged they are and how committed they are to that business.
A high empathy factor, some of it's innate, a high empathy factor. I find that in terms of a global leader, I have a lot of success with leaders that have lived abroad in a variety of countries, and once they finish their university education, that they're very interested in accepting assignments. For example, a leader that may come from Bogota, Colombia will take one in Paris, France, take an expat position in Paris, France, or will take a position in Asia. And they just need to have a larger amount of empathy and the ability and the interest to understand different cultures.
Many times people think in terms of the leader is the CEO or the executive director, and that's not necessarily the case. Anybody that's in any sort of a position that manages people or manages activities and motivates people to perform, they're a leader.
The pitfalls that I see leaders have made in the past, they fail to delegate. They try to do it all on their own. Either they've come up through the ranks that way, doing it all on their own, and that's why they think they're successful, and then they still want to do everything themselves. And what that leads to is losing the buy-in of your associates. It makes them feel unincluded, and it also leads to the breakdown at the leadership level. You're not able to do the job that you're promoted to do.
A successful leader not only has the technical skills to be an effective executive, but they have the empathy skills to put themselves in the mindset of those that they manage. It's very important. Because I believe if you are going to manage and lead people, you need to be able to think and feel how those are being led. I think that best gives you your ability to be a good leader.
Especially want to know from a woman's perspective, how you see the future or how you see your place in that with leadership.
It's tough. That's a tough question to answer, because I don't think as a woman that I need the help to get there. And so when you see that a company has a certain amount of quotas, or they say we need to place this many people, I would rather them place me because I'm the best candidate. I don't necessarily want them to place me because they need to hire 3 women today. And that's hard because I am a woman and I see that women aren't in the business place as they should be. And whether that's we've not done a great job letting them know what's involved in the business and the workforce, or that they don't feel that they're included. And so I think the awareness is key. I think a goal is good, but I still think hiring the best candidate and increasing that awareness is where it needs to come from.
Well, there's still a glass ceiling, and I still say that any woman that gets into the C-suite now is 150% better than any man. So that's still the case, and it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate that it took so long?
It's unfortunate they're still having to be at 150%.
Okay, I see what you mean.
I mean, people can only sustain. How do you expect a human being to be a mother and give 150%?
Well, actually, I think there's 2 things that are going on that are diversifying the kind of top ranks, if you will, where leadership is concerned. One, I think, is this movement that's afoot of a more global. I mean, as the world expands, it's getting smaller. So there's a whole global aspect that's driving minorities. I do believe also that women tend to be more independent nowadays than they were, say, 10, 20 years ago, and they're willing to be more independent nowadays. And so there are folks that are out there that are, breaking glass ceilings and doing things that women have not done over the last, 10, 20 years. But I also think there's another global shift that's happening, and that's the whole generational shift. I think that what we're seeing is we're starting to see leaders that are going into these C-level positions at younger ages, and with a completely different mindset than maybe what some other what the older generations have had.
As time progresses, we're going to get more used to women managing, and I think it's a good thing, because I think women bring a dynamic to leadership that a male can't necessarily bring.
Is handed a position of
Or your
leadership.
gender, right?
Exactly. They are handed a position of leadership, and they're given because of a quota or because something else. It really makes it harder for the woman to do that leadership position, because everyone around knows exactly or has an opinion or a perception of why you got that position.
We're starting to see leaders that are going into these C-level positions at younger ages, and with a completely different mindset than maybe what some other what the older generations have had. We're cycling through it. When you look at numbers nowadays, right now, as of, I guess, 2010, I just read a statistic where in the workplace, it's about even split between Generation Y and millennials. And also who businesses are trying to attract to consume whatever their business is, whether it's a service or whether it's a product.
There still is this sense amongst, excuse me for this generalization, amongst male Hispanics of the compadre. I call it the compadre scenario, that they all kind of still want to be buddies with their buddies, and they don't want to outshine each other so much. But women, Latinas, don't necessarily have the compadre issue, and they just go. I mean, their concern usually is their occupation, their mother and their father, and their children.
Yeah.
Okay, whereas the male is still concerned about being a Hispanic male and his career and his buddies.
Yeah.
And that's what I see.